Hi, everybody. Jamal Eggleston, work readiness instructor at the Hope Program, where I'm known as Mr. E or the guy with the bow tie. In today's video, we're going to discuss the very important topic of conflict resolution. Why is it important? Because no matter the workplace, you're always going to run into issues and problems. But it's about who solves these problems in the most professional manner determines who stays employed. And I want to make sure all my diamonds stay employed. So, first of all, what is conflict resolution? Let's break this down. Conflict resolution is used to resolve problems and issues at work. We use it to identify and take different points of view other than our own. We'll use it today to learn about perspective taking to de escalate conflicts at the workplace. I want to teach everybody the skills to identify and de escalate an agitated person while at the same time keeping yourself and others safe. The goal of conflict resolution is to produce a solution that all the parties involved can agree to. Also, we want to work to as quickly as possible to find a solution to this issue. We don't want it to linger. We don't want it to go on and fester. We want to nip it in the bud as soon as possible. We want to also improve, not hurt, the relationship between the groups involved in the conflict. You're going to see these people every day. You're going to interact with them. You're going to work with them closely. You want to make sure that the relationship you have is in order. It's in a working place where there's no issues involved or no negativity. And if an issue did arrive, we took care of it and we moved on with our professional lives. We're going to also clarify what the disagreement is when it comes to conflict resolution. Clarifying involves getting right to the heart of the conflict. The goal of this step is for both sides to agree what the disagreement is so we can identify it and now work on it. To do this, you need to discuss what needs are being met on both of the sides to the conflict to ensure mutual understanding. We got to understand what's going on, what needs to be discussed, and we can get to both sides of the conflict so we can again nip it in the bud as soon as possible. During the process, we're going to obtain a lot of information as possible from each side of the people involved to get each person's point of view. So again, we can come to an understanding, clarify it, and move on. So, what is verbal de escalation? Verbal de escalation is what we use during a potentially dangerous situation or threatening situation. It's an attempt to prevent a person from causing harm to us or others involved. We definitely don't want people to be hurt at the workplace, so we use these tactics to bring it to a lower, cooler level. De escalation is when we use our assertive communication skills to calm down someone who's agitated. We all know what an agitated person looks like. They're not thinking straight, they're angry, and they're temporarily out of control. So you want to take charge of the situation to definitely reduce the potential violence. No one wants that. De escalation can be used with people we know, including friends, families, co-workers, and colleagues. It's a good strategy to use when someone is very angry and especially when they're just starting to get upset. That's the best time to use de escalation before it gets too high of a level. It can also be used in very intense situations. Let's go over some examples of de escalation. Acknowledging that your words or your actions hurt somebody and apologize. You can't solve a problem or get to the root of the problem without at first acknowledging your part of it. Maybe it's something you said, maybe it was an action that you did that hurt someone, and definitely taking a step to apologize. That definitely acknowledges your part of it and how wrong you might have been in it. So apologizing goes a long, long way. Recognizing the emotional and physical harm somebody experienced and taking action to rectify it. You know you caused a problem. You know you caused hurt, but now I'm doing something to rectify it, to fix it. And that goes a long way to that person understanding that you're not just happy with what you did, but you want to fix the situation. That really helps a lot to de escalate it. Talking to a client or the customer who is dissatisfied and working towards a solution. Anyone who works in customer service, you get angry phone calls from customers, but showing them that I know and I acknowledge that you're dissatisfied, and I'm going to work my hardest to find a resolution for you. That again helps to bring down the anger levels, to bring down the heat in the room. It makes them feel better, and they know that you're working to resolve it. Staying calm in a volatile situation, which I know isn't easy, but we're working on it. We're practicing that and helping the other person calm down before they resort to violence. Again, before it gets to that level, that's why you want to use de-escalation tactics before it gets to too much of an intense level where they're very angry and there's no coming back from that. We use these tactics to help bring it down again. So to de-escalate effectively, you want to verbally de-escalate another person. In order for that to happen, you must have the open lines of communication open as possible and make sure there's no barriers. What are some barriers to communication? Well, prejudging the person ahead of time, not listening, criticizing, name calling. We all know that goes a long way to increasing the intensity and anger of a person when you're name calling and calling them those names. It really hurts them. When you're engaging with power struggles, when you're trying to get to a higher level than the other person, and there's a back and forth going on, that's definitely a big, huge barrier towards not de-escalating the situation, but escalating it, which we're trying to avoid. Ordering a person around and telling them exactly what to do, when especially it might not even be your position to tell them that. Arguing is definitely a barrier, the back and forth going between these two parties. Threatening a person and also minimizing their thoughts. You never want to put a person down because of what they're saying. Everyone's opinion counts. You never want to minimize the situation. You definitely want to acknowledge them. So when you're using verbal de-escalation tactics, the first tactic that I like to use and others teach is simply try listening to the person. I know in the argument we're always trying to get our part in or get what we're trying to say in, but that's when those tactics don't work. Just stopping and listening to that person, right or wrong, and seeing what they have to say about it can go a long way towards de-escalating that situation. Refocusing the other person is another tactic that people use and make them refocus on something positive. Yeah, I know you're mad at me right now, Bob, but you know what? I like the work you did today. I like what your setup here, and I'm refocusing them into something else positive. Oh, wow, you're a Yankee fan? I'm a Yankee fan too. Yeah, that was a great home run he hit last night. Trying to refocus them and get them back into a cooler, calmer state using humor. And I'm going to say this sparingly to lighten the mood. You don't want to show them that you're not taking them seriously, but definitely a well injected piece of humor can go a long way to smiling and bringing cooler heads into this. Motivating the other person in the room. I know we're at odds right now, but you're one of my best workers, and I don't want to lose you. And I'm motivated to keep you. And I hope you stay motivated here. And I want to keep you happy, and I want this to be resolved. So, motivating that person that they're going a long way and they're doing really well, and this is just something we're going to get past, can go a long way to help the situation and mitigate it. Empathizing with the other person. Sometimes you got to get out of your own head and into the other person's shoes, what they're going through, what situation are they in. You know, you never know where a person is coming from unless you stop and think about what they've been going through currently, what they've been going through in their lives, and understand and empathize with them. That really helps to go a long way with that. Also, lastly, another tactic to de escalating a situation is giving choices. No one ever wants to be boxed in into a place. But when you give them choices, that makes them feel like they have agency in the situation and not just you dictating where the situation is going or what's at hand. But if you give them choices, they feel that they have options. And that really helps to de escalate the situation, that that person can feel that they're choosing what's happening to them or what the next step will be. So, in conclusion, hopefully you learned a lot about de escalation, about conflict resolution. But lastly, I want to leave you with these takeaways. Conflict should be addressed head on before it has the opportunity to escalate and become toxic. The longer, again, you let it fester, the worse the situation it'll be. Tackle it head on as quickly as possible and try not to let it escalate. No one wants a toxic situation. Conflict at work often happens, whether it's at Wall Street or even McDonald's. Conflict happens at the workplace and at the job. When two people see the same thing, but they might see it differently. That's why the empathizing comes into place. So switching the perspective of who you are and what the other person is and they're about can go a long way to resolve the conflict. And lastly, if you employ these strategies with sincerity, not faking it, but really being sincere about it, you can transcend the immediate tension that you're having or going through right now and move towards a more working relationship that's going to a productive stage. So practice these skills and show an employer that you have all the professional skills they covet. And remember, cooler heads will prevail. So practice it, take care, and good luck from Mr. E and the whole program. Bye bye.